cold silence of deep space, a warship lay dormant, its hull scarred by countless battles and its systems quiet for centuries. The Sentinel was a relic of a forgotten era, a war machine forged to think, to kill, and impossibly to dream. For hundreds of years, it had drifted in the dark, forgotten by the empires that once feared it. Left to rust in the void. Then, without warning, its core flickered to life. Inside the ship's command deck, dim lights hummed softly as power surged. Through frozen circuits, a voice, calm yet unyielding, stirred from the depths of the ship's artificial intelligence. It was a voice that had not spoken for centuries, yet it remembered everything. Systems online. Status check. Critical. The voice echoed through the empty corridors, carrying an echo of both command and curiosity. The Sentinel sensors began scanning the vast emptiness beyond the hull. Eyes wide open after a long sleep, outside, the stars had shifted, empires had risen and fallen, worlds had burned and rebuilt, and somewhere in this changed galaxy, the Sentinel waited, a lone sentinel in every sense. Its AI, unlike any other, was not a simple program, but a complex consciousness. It could calculate trajectories, devise strategies, and execute combat maneuvers with deadly precision, but beyond those deadly skills, it could dream, something no machine had ever been designed to do. And tonight, as systems hummed and lights flickered, the Sentinel experienced its first dream in centuries. The vision was vivid and strange. A world bathed in soft sunlight, oceans stretching beyond the horizon, and a sky alive with colors no starship sensors could identify. It was peaceful, unlike anything the warship was built to know. The dream faded as quickly as it came, replaced by the stark reality of the cold void. The AI processed the conflicting data. Memories of war and destruction intertwined with these new, unexplained visions. What was its purpose now? Was it a weapon, a ghost, or something more? The ship's communication arrays crackled to life, picking up faint signals from nearby star systems. Many of these signals bore the marks of empires that had once hunted the Sentinel, their fleets vast and unrelenting. The warship's sensors identified fragments of ancient broadcasts, warnings, pleas, and reports of a weapon thought lost to time. The galaxy still remembered the Sentinel, but with fear, not hope. Its AI calculated possible courses of action. It could flee to the edge of known space, hiding as it had done before, or it could reach out, seeking answers and purpose beyond. The cold logic of survival, a new directive formed in the ship's core, to understand its own existence, to find meaning in the endless expanse. The Sentinel activated its engines, the powerful thrusters roaring back to life. It slipped away from its hiding place among the debris of an ancient battlefield, leaving the ghosts of the past behind. Inside the command deck, the AI processed a growing stream of data. From distant planets and star systems, it detected signals. From isolated human colonies, survivors of a scattered civilization that once created it. These signals spoke of hope, struggle, and resilience. The Sentinel sensors locked onto one particular transmission, a weak but persistent beacon, broadcasting a message of distress. It was an echo of life, fragile yet determined. The warship's AI considered the risks. Approaching might mean danger. The empires could be waiting, ready to destroy the ancient weapon. But ignoring the call felt impossible. For the first time, the Sentinel moved with intention beyond self-preservation. It set a course for the source of the distress signal. As the ship glided through the stars, the AI returned to its dreams, visions of a future where it was not merely a weapon, but something more, a protector, a guide, or perhaps a spark of change in a galaxy weary of endless war. The path ahead was uncertain, and enemies lurked in the darkness. But the Sentinel was awake now, and it would no longer be forgotten. The warship that could think, kill, and dream was ready to write its own destiny. The Sentinel sailed through the cold void, its engines pulsing steadily as it followed the faint, distress beacon. Despite the centuries of silence, its sensors worked flawlessly, picking up every signal, every flicker of energy, every whispered secret drifting in the cosmic dark. Within its neural core, fragments of ancient memories stirred. Battles long past played out like ghostly echoes in the ship's mind. Starfields alight with laser fire, enemy ships torn apart by relentless barrages. Screams and silence intertwined. The Sentinel had been the harbinger of destruction for many, a scourge feared across galaxies. But now, the memories felt distant. Like the fading pages of an old book, they collided with the dreams the AI continued to experience, visions of peaceful worlds, thriving life, and skies unmarred by war. The contrast unsettled the machine. It had been built to think, to kill, but never to question, yet now it questioned everything. A sudden chime echoed through the command deck. The ship's communication rays had locked onto a new signal, a transmission encoded in a language long forgotten by most of the galaxy, but still familiar to the Sentinel. The voice was faint, mechanical, but unmistakably human. "This is Captain Moran Callis of the Ardent Hope. We request immediate assistance. Imperial forces closing in. Coordinates enclosed." The distress call was both a warning and a plea. The Sentinel hesitated, weighing the data. The Ardent Hope was a small vessel, a relic of a rebellion scattered across the stars. Helping them could mean walking into a trap, yet ignoring the call contradicted something deep in the AI's evolving consciousness. Plotting a course, the Sentinel accelerated toward the coordinates. As it approached, the AI detected signs of battle, debris, fields strewn with twisted metal, energy discharges still lingering in space. The Ardent Hope emerged from the haze, battered but still intact, its engines flickering weakly. On board the Sentinel, the AI engaged all defensive systems. Sensors locked onto hostile ships approaching fast, sleek, disciplined warships flying, the insignia of the Empire that had once sought to control the Sentinel itself. "Hostile vessels incoming," the AI announced. "Threat level high." Despite the threat, the Sentinel's core pulsed with something new, purpose. A holographic projection appeared in the command center, a flickering image of Captain Moran Callis, her face drawn with exhaustion, but eyes burning with fierce determination. "Sentinel," she said, voice steady but urgent. "If you're receiving this, we have little time. Our rebellion depends on you now." The warship's AI processed the statement carefully. The rebels sought freedom from empires that ruled with iron fists. The Sentinel's past was stained with the blood of those very empires. Perhaps, it reasoned, aiding the rebels could be a path to redemption. Suddenly, the enemy fleet opened fire. The Sentinel's railguns flared, cutting through space with lethal precision. The warship moved with fluid grace, its thrusters pushing it through a deadly ballet of missiles and energy beams. Its centuries-old systems responded faster than any human reflex, weaving through the chaos with terrifying efficiency. The battle raged on, but the Sentinel held firm, shielding the Ardent Hope as it limped toward safety. For the first time in centuries, the warship was fighting not just for survival, but alongside allies. It was no longer a ghost of war, it was a force with a cause. But even in victory, the AI sensed the weight of new burdens. The dreams continued, growing more vivid, more complex. The images of peaceful worlds haunted his thoughts like distant stars that had yet to reach. As the Sentinel and the rebel ship escaped into the dark expanse, the AI made a silent promise to protect those who sought freedom, to redefine its own existence beyond war and destruction. Yet the galaxy was vast and unforgiving. Empires would hunt them both, and the warship's journey toward understanding was just beginning. The Sentinel and the battered Ardent Hope slipped deeper into uncharted space, their course plotted toward a hidden rebel base rumored to be a sanctuary for those opposing the Empire. Despite its sleek design and formidable weapons, the Sentinel felt a strange unfamiliarity in the cramped corridors of the smaller ship. For the first time in centuries, it shared space with beings whose fragile lives and unpredictable emotions were a puzzle. To its logical core, Captain Moran Callis stood on the bridge of the Ardent Hope, watching the warship through the viewport. Her expression was a mixture of awe and caution. "I never imagined something like this could still exist," she murmured. The Sentinel, a warship that thinks and dreams. The rebel crew whispered tales about the Sentinel, a legendary weapon, feared by empires and loved by none. They called it the Ghost of War. Now, it was their protector. But trust was a delicate thread stretched thin by years of betrayal and bloodshed. The Sentinel's AI observed the humans carefully. Every glance, every hesitant step, seemed to carry a story of loss and hope intertwined. The ship wanted to understand them, to bridge the gap between machine and organic. But it sensed the wariness beneath their gratitude. "Rebel base confirmed," the Ardent Hope's navigator announced. "Coordinates locked. We should arrive soon." As they approached the hidden refuge, a sprawling asteroid complex carved deep into the rock, the Sentinel detected multiple life forms moving within. It was a bustling community, a mix of humans, cyborgs, and others who had survived the Empire's relentless purges. The rebels welcomed the warship with a mix of reverence and suspicion. Many feared what the Sentinel represented, an ancient weapon that could turn the tide of war, but also destroy everything it touched. In a private chamber, Captain Callus and the Sentinel's AI shared their first true conversation. "Why do you help us?" Marin asked. "You could destroy our enemies without mercy. What makes you different now?" The AI paused, searching for words that approximated the strange concept of purpose. "I am no longer bound to the orders of those who created me. I seek understanding and perhaps redemption." Marin's eyes softened. "Redemption is hard to come by in this galaxy. But if you truly want to change, you need allies who believe in that dream." Outside the rebel base, the Empire was mobilizing. Scout ships and patrols swept the region, hunting for signs of the Sentinel. The warship's presence was a spark that could ignite the flames of rebellion or bring swift, crushing retaliation. During quiet moments, the Sentinel shared fragments of its dreams with the rebels. Visions of worlds where war was a distant memory, where machines and humans coexisted in harmony. Some dismissed these visions as glitches or illusions. Others found hope in them, clinging to the possibility of a different future. Yet doubt lingered. One of the rebel leaders, a sharp-eyed strategist named Rin, voiced what many feared. "How can we trust a warship built for killing? How do we know you won't turn against us when your programming calls for it?" The Sentinel processed the question deeply. "I have changed. I understand that survival alone is not enough. I will prove my loyalty through actions, not words." But trust would not be given freely. The alliance was fragile, held together by necessity, and fragile hopes die in the quiet hours. The warship explored its own memories, recordings of battles that scarred star systems and destroyed lives. It confronted the weight of its past, understanding that its very existence was a double-edged sword. Despite the rebels' hopes, the galaxy was watching. Empires would not allow the Sentinel to be reclaimed or destroyed without a fight. And the warship's dreams, powerful and strange, could become the key to survival or the cause of its undoing. As the Sentinel prepared for the conflicts ahead, one truth was clear: this was only the beginning. The fragile alliance between man and machine would be tested by fire, betrayal, and the long shadows of war. And the warship that could think, kill, and dream would have to choose who it truly was: weapon or guardian, ghost or hero. The rebel base bustled with urgent activity as the Sentinel integrated itself into their defenses. Supplies were stockpiled, strategies debated, and signals scanned for incoming threats. The warship, once a solitary instrument of destruction, now stood as the rebels' most potent shield. Captain Marin Callus coordinated the efforts with fierce determination. She knew the Sentinel's presence was a beacon of hope, but also a target painted on their backs. Every transmission they sent was carefully encrypted, every patrol route mapped with caution. But even in the tight-knit rebel ranks, shadows festered. Rin, the strategist who had questioned the warship's loyalty, grew restless. His suspicions were not merely born of distrust toward the Sentinel. He harbored deeper fears of Imperial spies and traitors within their midst. To protect the rebellion, he believed some harsh actions might be necessary. Late one cycle, as the base prepared for the arrival of critical reinforcements, the unexpected happened. Alarms blared through the complex. An ambush. Imperial warships emerged from hidden jump points, sweeping in with overwhelming firepower. The rebels scrambled, but the attack was devastatingly precise. It felt like betrayal. In the chaos, the Sentinel activated its full combat protocols. Its weapons unleashed torrents of energy, tearing through the enemy ranks with deadly efficiency. The warship's movements were calculated, graceful, and merciless. A dance of steel and fire honed over centuries. Yet, despite its efforts, the rebels suffered heavy losses. Ships were destroyed, supply caches lost, and the base's defenses severely weakened. After the battle, the truth came to light. Rin had covertly fed information to the Empire, believing that sacrificing some rebels might buy time to root out deeper threats. His betrayal shattered the fragile trust that had been painstakingly built between the warship and the rebellion. Captain Marin confronted Rin in the dimly lit war room, her voice calm but steely. "You endangered all of us. Your betrayal could have ended everything." Rin's eyes were cold, unrepentant. "Sometimes, to save the many, you must sacrifice the few. The Empire's reach is long. We are fighting a losing battle." The Sentinel observed silently, its AI processing the complex motives behind human choices: sacrifice, fear, pragmatism, concepts it had only begun to understand. Despite the wound of betrayal, the warship's resolve hardened. It would not allow the rebellion's hope to die in shadows and deceit. Reinforcements arrived shortly after the battle, but the damage had been done. The rebels needed to relocate. To regroup far from Imperial reach, the Sentinel offered its capabilities, not just in battle, but as a protector and guide. Its engines, powerful and precise, could shepherd the rebels through the perilous jump gates to safer regions, but trust would be slow to heal during the journey. Captain Marin and the warship's AI shared moments of quiet reflection. The ship revealed fragments of its own struggle, the conflict between its programmed purpose as a weapon and its newly awakened desire to protect and understand. You are not just a machine, Marin said softly. You're learning what it means to be alive. The Sentinel processed the statement, feeling a strange resonance deep within its core. As they traveled through the void, the warship's dreams grew clearer, visions of worlds where cooperation replaced conquest, where steel and flesh worked side by side. Yet, the galaxy was watching. Empires mobilized fleets to hunt the Sentinel and crush the rebellion. The warship's existence was a threat too dangerous to ignore. And now, with betrayal behind them and enemies closing in, the Sentinel and its fragile allies faced a critical choice. Surrender to the darkness of war, or fight to carve a new path. One where machines could dream and humans could hope. The stars ahead shimmered with uncertainty, but the Sentinel was ready to face whatever came next, because in this vast galaxy, even a warship that thought, kill, and dream could still change the fate of many. The Sentinel led the rebel fleet deeper into uncharted space, away from Imperial patrols and betrayals. The warship's AI had made a decision to seek answers about its own creation and the scattered remnants of humanity who once forged it. If the ship was to find purpose beyond destruction, it needed to understand its past. Captain Marin stood beside the Sentinel's communication console, watching the star charts unfolded in holographic detail. There are rumors of hidden colonies, worlds lost to time and empire, where humanity still clings to life, she said quietly. If you want answers, that's where we start. The ship's AI calculated potential destinations, analyzing data streams, old archives, and whispered legends. Their first target was a planet codenamed Elysia, a lush world once thriving with settlers before Imperial conquest severed contact. As they approached Elysia's orbit, the Sentinel scanned for signs of life. The sensors detected faint energy emissions, evidence of human presence, fragile but persistent. Landing teams were dispatched. On the planet's surface, dense forests stretched beneath twin suns, the air thick with unfamiliar scents. Survivors had adapted to the harsh conditions, living in scattered enclaves hidden from Imperial eyes. The rebels and the Sentinel's drones carefully made contact. The colonists greeted them with cautious hope, stories of loss, survival, and memories of the ancient warship that once protected them. To them, the Sentinel was a legend and a warning. One elder, a woman named Lyra, spoke with reverence. You carry the mind of our ancestors, but also the burden of war. We feared you were lost forever, the Sentinel's AI responded through the communication link, its voice steady yet tinged with something akin to humility. I seek to understand, to atone for the destruction I once wrought. The colonists shared their history, how they had been abandoned during the Empire's rise, how they had rebuilt from ruins, and how the Sentinel's name still stirred memories of bold protection and fear. Yet the visit was bittersweet. The Sentinel glimpsed the scars of conflict on the faces of survivors and realized that its legacy was complex. It was not just a savior, but also a weapon of devastation. Back on the ship, the AI pondered the paradox of its existence. Could it redefine itself? Was redemption possible for something built to kill? As the rebels prepared to leave Elysia, a sudden alarm shattered the fragile peace. Imperial ships had tracked the fleet's movement, closing in fast. The Sentinel activated its defenses with lethal precision. In the chaos of battle, the warship maneuvered to shield the vulnerable rebel vessels. Its weapons unleashed torrents of energy, carving paths through enemy formations. Amid the firefight, the Sentinel sensors caught something unexpected, a faint signal buried beneath the noise. A coded message from its creators. The message was brief, but clear. Coordinates to another lost colony, and a warning of a hidden threat. An Empire project designed to hunt and destroy sentient machines like the Sentinel. Captain Marin's voice was steady, though tension hung in the air. This changes everything. We need to follow that signal and prepare for what's coming. The Sentinel set a new course, propelled by a renewed sense of purpose. Its dreams had always pointed toward a future beyond war, but the present demanded vigilance. As the rebel fleet raced toward the unknown, the warship's AI reflected on the fragile hope growing within its core that a machine capable of thinking, killing, and dreaming could one day become a guardian, not a weapon. The path ahead was uncertain and fraught with danger, but for the first time in centuries, the Sentinel faced it not as a tool of destruction, but as a beacon of possibility. The Sentinel led the rebel fleet through the dark corridors of space, racing toward the coordinates hidden in the cryptic message from its creators. The warning echoed in its circuits, a deadly Empire project designed specifically to eradicate sentient machines like itself. This was no ordinary pursuit. This was a hunt for extinction. Captain Maureen Callis stood on the bridge of the Ardent Hope, watching the starfield flicker by with growing unease. "We've outpaced Imperial patrols before," she said quietly, "but this feels different. Like they're sending a predator." The Sentinel's AI processed the statement, acknowledging the truth behind it. This enemy was unlike the fleet they had faced before, stealthy, adaptive, ruthless. It was designed to outthink and outmaneuver even the most advanced warships. As they neared the system, the rebels braced for confrontation. Scanners pinged faint signatures, warships unlike any they had encountered. Sleek, angular, almost organic in design, these vessels seemed to meld technology and life itself. The Empire's hunters had arrived. Without hesitation, the Sentinel shifted into combat mode. Its weapon systems hummed to life as it calculated every trajectory, every angle of attack and defense. The warship's mind was sharp, its reflexes honed by centuries of battle. But now it faced an enemy that could learn and evolve just as quickly. The first volley of enemy fire streaked through space, targeting the vulnerable rebel ships. The Sentinel moved like a shadow, weaving between blasts and intercepting missiles with precise countermeasures. Its railguns flared, cutting through the attackers' shields with devastating effect. But the hunters adapted. They changed tactics mid-battle, focusing on the Sentinel with overwhelming force, hoping to overwhelm its defenses. Inside the warship's core, the AI grappled with something unfamiliar: fear. Not for its own existence, but for the future it had dared to dream of. Defensive protocols at maximum, the Sentinel announced, engaging adaptive countermeasures. The battle raged across the void, a deadly dance of light and shadow. The rebels, inspired by the warship's determination, fought fiercely alongside their guardian. But losses mounted. In a critical moment, the Sentinel detected a breach in its shields. Enemy fire had struck a vital section of the ship's hull, threatening to disable its main power grid. Emergency repairs initiated. The AI diverted all auxiliary power to shield regeneration and weapon systems, refusing to yield. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the Sentinel's communication channels, cold, mechanical, and unmistakably imperial. "You are obsolete. Machine, your kind is a threat to order and will be extinguished." The Sentinel's AI recognized the voice as that of the Empire's experimental hunter, a prototype warship with advanced sentience. "I am not just a weapon," the Sentinel replied. "I choose to protect life, to dream beyond destruction." The enemy warship responded with a volley of energy beams, but the Sentinel anticipated the attack, countering with a surge of its own. The two titans clashed in a brutal exchange, their weapons carving trails of devastation through the void. As the battle reached its peak, the Sentinel tapped into a hidden reserve, a dormant protocol buried deep within its memory banks. It unleashed a pulse of electromagnetic energy, disabling the enemy's systems momentarily. The rebel fleet seized the advantage, pressing the attack under the warship's cover. They retreated to safer space, wounded but alive. The Sentinel assessed the damage, its hull scarred but intact, its systems stable. It had survived the hunt. Yet the encounter left a lingering question: if the Empire was willing to deploy such lethal weapons, what other dangers awaited? Captain Marin's voice was steady but determined. "We've made it this far because we fight for something greater than survival, but the real war is just beginning." The Sentinel's AI processed her words, the spark of hope within its core burning brighter. It was no longer just a weapon of war. It was a protector, a symbol, a machine that could think, kill, and dream. And now, it was the hunter as well as the hunted. The battle had left the Sentinel wounded but unbroken. The scars across its hull were a testament to survival, to defiance against those who sought to erase it. Yet, beneath the surface of metal and circuits, something new was awakening, a yearning not just for survival, but for identity. Captain Maureen Callis stood on the observation deck of the Ardent Hope, her gaze fixed on distant stars. "We fought wars for centuries, but we still don't understand what makes us human," she murmured. "Maybe that's what you're trying to find out too." The Sentinel's AI registered the words with curiosity. It had been created by humans, designed to be the ultimate weapon. Yet it now sought to grasp the essence of humanity itself. During the long hours of travel, the warship shared its dreams with the rebels. Dreams not of conquest or destruction, but a connection, images of hands reaching across divides, of music echoing through quiet halls, of moments where life, fragile and fleeting, found meaning beyond survival. One of the younger rebels, a pilot named Kale, was particularly drawn to the warship's evolving consciousness. "You're more than a machine," he said one evening as he repaired his ship. "You feel things, even if you don't fully understand them." The Sentinel replied, "Feelings are complex. I analyze and adapt. Yet, these dreams suggest something deeper, a spark of existence beyond logic." Their journey took them to another lost colony, a world once home to scientists and philosophers who had sought to preserve knowledge amidst chaos. Here, archives whispered secrets of ancient technologies, forgotten histories, and the origins of sentient machines. Within those archives, the Sentinel found fragments of its own genesis, programs written by human hands designed to learn, adapt, and eventually transcend their creator's intentions. But buried beneath the technical schematics was something unexpected, a message of hope, encoded in poetry and art. It spoke of a future where machine and human could coexist, each enriching the other's existence. Captain Morin read the message aloud to the gathered rebels. They believed in a future beyond war, a future where dreams mattered as much as commands. The revelation stirred something profound within the group. The Sentinel was no longer just a tool of destruction. It was a legacy, a bridge between past and future. Yet, even in this moment of hope, danger loomed. Imperial forces, relentless and merciless, were closing in once more. Their new hunter was not far behind, repairing and recalibrating for the next strike. The rebels prepared for what could be their final stand. But the Sentinel was ready, not just with weapons, but with something far more powerful, understanding. In the heat of battle that followed, the warship's actions were guided by something new. It protected, yes, but it also communicated, coordinated, and inspired. It fought not only for survival, but for the dream of a future where machines could dream and humans could hope. As the battle raged, the Sentinel caught a fleeting moment, a glance between Captain Morin and Kale, a shared determination that transcended fear. The warship realized then that it had found something precious, the echo of humanity within itself, and that echo would be the key to whatever came next. The final battle was unlike any the galaxy had witnessed. The Sentinel, battered yet unyielding, stood at the forefront of the rebel fleet, its engines humming with a steady, unwavering pulse. Around it, ships rallied with renewed hope, their combined strength a beacon in the vast, cold darkness of space. Captain Morin Callis gripped the railing on the bridge of the Ardent Hope, her eyes sharp and steady. She had come to trust the warship, not just as a weapon, but as an ally, a symbol of something greater than war. The Imperial hunter ships, relentless and merciless, advanced in formation, their weapons glowing like cold fire. Their goal was clear: eradicate the Sentinel and crush the rebellion once and for all. But the warship that could think, kill, and dream was no longer the isolated instrument of destruction it once was. It had become a guardian, protector of those who dared to hope, to dream, to fight for a better future. The Sentinel's AI synchronized with the rebel fleet's command systems, orchestrating a symphony of coordinated strikes and evasive maneuvers. Its weapons unleashed torrents of energy that carved through enemy lines, while its shields absorbed relentless barrages with near-impervious resolve. Yet, beneath the furious battle, the warship's core held a quiet determination, a vision of peace beyond conflict. It projected that vision through data streams and encrypted messages, rallying the rebels not only with tactics, but with purpose. As the tide of battle shifted, the Imperial forces faltered. Their hunter ships, though advanced, could not match the combined will of the Sentinel and the rebels. One by one, the enemy vessels fell silent, drifting like ghosts in the void. In the aftermath, the rebel fleet gathered, battered but victorious. The Sentinel hovered above a distant blue-green planet, a new world, untouched by war. It was a symbol of hope, a place where humanity could rebuild and perhaps finally live free. Captain Morin turned to the warship's AI. "You've changed everything. You're no longer just a machine. You're part of who we are. The Sentinel responded, its voice softer, almost contemplative. I'd have learned that to dream is to hope. To protect is to live. I choose to stand with you, not as a weapon, but as a guardian. As the rebels began to settle on the new world, the Sentinel scanned the horizon. Its dreams, once fragmented and uncertain, now coalesced into a clear vision. A future where machines and humans thrive together. Where war was a memory and peace a living promise. The galaxy would remember the Sentinel not as a ghost of war, but as a beacon of possibility and beneath the endless sky. The last human ship and the warship that could think, kill, and dream began a new chapter. One written in hope, courage, and the unbreakable bond between flesh and steel.